It's yours truly, Ricovibes, and welcome to this edition of Take 5. My special guest today, she goes by the name of Miss Kayla Carter.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good. Get a little bit closer to the microphone.
A little bit closer.
Yeah, there you go. You have a foundation called the Yana Community Foundation.
Yes, the Yana Community Foundation.
Okay.
Yes.
What is that all about?
So Yana stands for You Are Not Alone. It is a mental health crisis prevention organization. So what I focus on is a lot of times when things go wrong when it comes to mental health, people don't acknowledge it until after a crisis. And then they focus on, prevent awareness and, check on your friends, da-da-da-da. But what my organization is focused on is I focus on the prevention. So I focus on things that happen in your day-to-day life that can affect your mental health. Okay. So things like job loss, things like you not having outlets, things like that. So what I do is I focus on the resources and the safe space. Okay. I provide that. So whether it's resources like you're looking for a therapist, you're looking for anything that could kind of mess you up, like maybe you don't have somewhere for your children to go, or maybe you're looking for a job, or maybe you're just kind of stuck. I help find the resources. I can't give the resources. I can't, provide everything, but I provide the resources that can help you.
Gotcha. So how old are you?
I'm 19. I'll be 20 next month.
Wow. So at 19 years old, I'm pretty sure you've thought about this before 19. So
yeah.
What inspired you to get into that field?
So I personally struggled with certain mental health issues. And, in our community, whether it's the Black community, the Caribbean community, it just isn't talked about a lot. Right. And a lot of times it's kind of shoved under until, like I said, until something happens.
Correct.
And then eventually that kind of, rolls over, and then people forget about it again until there's another crisis. And I would rather be someone who kind of figured it out a little bit. I wouldn't say that I've just healed and I'm just perfect, but I would say that I would rather, instead of me being another story, I would be able to help stop them, just a little bit. Obviously, I can't stop everything, but I would rather there be less stories of hearing of a crisis that happened simply because somebody didn't have the resources, they didn't have someone to talk to, or they just felt alone. So that is what Yana is, to help people feel less alone in those moments when it's like you feel like you don't really, you have nowhere to go. Your back's against the wall. Yana helps people get back on their feet. Gotcha.
How long have the Yana Community Foundation been around?
So we just celebrated our second anniversary June 6th.
Okay.
So 2 years.
2 years. Wow. Does your family get involved with this, or is it just yourself?
So they try.
Yeah.
I would say, especially my mom, she definitely tries a lot. I am still kind of working because it's like
that's your baby.
It's like my baby, right? So I kind of be like, I don't really want, but I definitely do say, like, my mother, for sure. My mother more than anything, and then I also have like a lot of close friends who, they are like Yana posters. Like wherever they go, they make sure to spread it. So I would definitely say, like, I definitely have a little village that helps me, but I am still working on like building an actual team with it.
Okay. What do you do when you feel that anxiety? How do you handle that?
For me, Yana has actually been helping me when it comes to helping. Like, I help other people, but it's helping me as well.
Gotcha.
Learning, like, you can't help people get healthy coping mechanisms, and you're doing like not healthy coping mechanisms.
Gotcha.
So like right now, when it comes to anxiety, I try to work on like deep breaths and things like that. I start to think about like my why and stuff, because a lot of times when I get anxious, I tend to shut down.
Okay.
So I have to sit and remind myself, like, why am I doing this? Why, or whatever, get to the root of it. And then like when it gets really, really bad, when I'm like manic, I'm not gonna lie, like I'll go get like a tattoo or something, because it's like, okay.
Wow. So how many tattoos do you have now?
I have 16 tattoos.
16.
16.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I have 16.
But at least you're not hurting anybody else,
Right. You definitely have to figure out a way to channel it. And I think, like I said, being it's only 2 years, I haven't been able to really tap into everything that I want to do with Yana, but I definitely do want to be able to help people with better coping mechanisms. Like hopefully I can do like yoga and not tattoos, because tattoos are pretty expensive.
And hurt, I'm sure. They don't, okay.
But expensive.
That's the reason why I don't get into tattoos. So.
Really? Have you ever got a tattoo before?
No. I always think about the pain.
They don't hurt that bad.
Really?
Like, I think at first I was like, oh my God. And then I got my first tattoo. It was like right here, my first tattoos. And I was like, oh, this is nothing.
Not bad.
And now I have 16.
Wow. So at what age did you realize that you're suffering from some mental issues?
I was younger, actually, like middle school,
Really?
like 12.
And what did something happen that triggered?
Yeah, I would say so. I actually probably like 10. It was definitely early. I was in like elementary school. I was getting bullied. And of course, like, you know, your parents fight for you as hard as they can, especially like.
Right.
But I think when, like I said, when you're in that moment when you kind of feel like by yourself, because not really like you don't have anybody, but more so as in no one can relate to what's going on.
Got it.
Like nobody knows how I feel in this very moment.
Correct.
So you feel alone still. I would say elementary school, middle school. Middle school, I was dealing with a transition of moving. My family, my parents kind of separated, and we moved states. I was in Tulsa for a little while, and that was kind of a adjustment just because my family was still going through that unfortunate transition as well as me still being in this transition.
Gotcha.
So that was a lot harder for me. I just don't think I do well with change, well, quick change or things like that. I'm working on adapting. So I think that definitely messed me up a little bit, but you know, I guess it's part of the story.
Do you know if it runs in the family or is this a one-away thing or?
So, funny thing, like I said, I still am working on trying.
Right.
Like I said, in our community, it's definitely not talked about as much.
Absolutely not.
So
Absolutely not.
I still try to figure it out, but I feel like I don't know if it runs in the family, but I do know of a couple of family members who have struggled with similar things. Like after starting Yana, the conversations kind of started a little bit more that they felt like, okay, they could talk to me about it. So I do know, like I have a couple family members that do struggle with certain mental illnesses or even just anxiety, stress, you know, because when it comes to mental health, it doesn't have to be like huge or major.
Right.
It's literally like stress, literally little things like that, PTSD. A lot of people have PTSD, especially just in the climate of everything that we're going through. So I know I actually do have a couple family members on both sides of my family that do suffer from it or experience it. Let me not say suffer, but.
Have you seen a professional at all? Or?
Yeah, so I went to therapy twice.
2 times.
Well, no. So I've been to 2 separate therapists. Let me say that. I did go a couple times with both therapists. I'm currently looking for a new therapist just because I wasn't really too fond of the two. Well, no, one of them was good. It was a good therapist, but I just wasn't in the stage for me to really accept what I needed to do, the work that I needed to do to be in a better position. Like the first part is like acknowledgement and really accepting, and I just wasn't in an accepting stage, so I kind of shied away from it. But I'm looking for a new therapist that I can actually like speak to and feel more like comfortable like expressing myself. So like right now I just like journal and talk to like, you know, people that like close friends a lot of times. Like you gotta have like a trusted person or people that you can speak to.
So when you're looking for a therapist, would you feel more comfortable with a male or female? How does that work?
So for me, originally it was male. Originally I was like, I don't really want to talk to a woman, But right now, strangely, I'm in a like season where I'm looking for a female. Well, if I find a male therapist, cool. But I have been looking for a female therapist, which I think that's why it's taken me a little bit longer to find it because I have to find one that I'm actually comfortable with.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Why did you decide to come on here and talk about this? Because again, at 19 years old, it takes a lot of courage just to acknowledge that you're suffering from this, and then to come out in public and talk about it.
Right.
Why did you decide to do that?
Well, I just had our second annual Yana Day. It's a field day and cookout. It's a big event just for like the community to kind of take a break and escape. Like I said, we create safe spaces, so. Literally, it was just people like strangers, like coming out and just being able to enjoy, you know, the community and kind of escape from, like I said, there's so much going on right now. So being able to just enjoy life and take a break with strangers that are like-minded or something like that. It was our second annual one, and Priceless was like, you need to go on here because, you know, for me, I noticed, like I said, in the community, and this is for anybody, obviously, but in the community that I'm in, both of them, it's necessary. Like, I just hear about a lot of things that, you know, crises that go on, people that have passed away, people who are, you know, taking their lives and losing their lives, and we don't know how to react. All you know is awareness. All you know is make a post and say, oh, check on your friends, and then that's it. And then after some weeks go by, that's it. And I think that it's very important to equip people with the skills to really tap into what's going on and talk. A lot of people are just scared to talk because that's what we were taught. We were taught, like, even like men, especially. I want to do a men's event soon, but when it comes to men's health, it's you talk about it and you're weak. Mental health is weak. Suicide is weak. You give up and you're weak. So there's so many people who die, take their lives, and they're silent because they were more fear. They have more pride. They died with pride. Yeah. They were scared to be looked at as weak, rather than feeling comfortable enough to go to somebody that they were close to or whoever to say, I need help. I feel stuck. I feel alone. Right. So for me, I don't, even for me, like majority of my friends are male and my family is Caribbean. So for me, you look at it and you're like, okay, something got to change because I would hate, I still struggle, with suicidal thoughts and things of that nature. So I would hate to think, okay, if I did succeed at trying, how it would leave my family, my friends. But imagine, I don't know the people around me, what they're going through. Because we're all going through things that we don't talk about. Right. So imagine you're right next to me and you're hurting, and I don't know because you don't feel, you don't know that you have a safe space, right? So I wanted to make it more open to say, you might not have a huge village right now, but I'm creating one. I call the community that I'm creating with Yana the new village because, in the village that we get, the villages, the people that your family helped raise, your family raised you, it's not always the healthiest village. They're not always the people that you feel safest around. They do their best. Right. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them, but they do their best of what they had. So for me, I call it the new villages because the new villages, this is the people who are taking the time to learn, to talk, to sit down and really communicate about the situations and create a safe space. These are people you're supposed to feel comfortable around. Somebody that you can run to because that's where the crisis begins. When you are stuck, you don't have the resources to run to or the support to run to or, just the escape that you might need. You don't have it. So, like I said, I'm still technically new in it. So I don't have all the resources that I can give, but I'm working on creating a directory and things like that so that people can, say, hey, I'm looking for this. Okay, well, I know this person, or this company that you could go to. Let me refer you, rather than you just feeling like you don't have anywhere to go. Because I watch it. I've watched my friends, family members struggling, and they could confide in me because they knew that I experienced it. And that's a big thing when it comes to being alone. You feel a lot less alone when you know that there's somebody, whether you know them or not, somebody that's experiencing the same thing that you're experiencing. It might not be the exact climate, but you're not alone in that feeling. You feel a little bit better. So for me, that's what I want to work on. I want to continue to create the safe space and provide the resources and help that community a little bit. Because if not, I don't know what could happen. I don't know what the outcome could be. The more we stay quiet, when it comes to that. I don't want to continue to lose people because life is going to be...
Have you lost folks?
I have. Yeah. I have. And I have friends who've lost people to suicide. And like I say, when you see that outcome, when you see how people react to it, it's so hard. And it's like, you never forget it. And I think for me, loss in general is hard. But when okay, for example, you could lose someone in a car accident. They had no control of that. Right. But to know that you lost someone because they took their life because they felt like they had nowhere to go, it plays in your head a lot because now you sit and you think
what could I have done?
What could I have done if I had known? Or why didn't they feel comfortable enough to come to me? Or this, that, and the third. I've watched my friends literally, and every time, the anniversaries come or whatever, you have to keep thinking, I could have stopped it. For example, a car accident or a mental, or not mental illness, but a physical illness or something, you can't really do anything. You can't control it. But to know, okay, they took their life because of whatever went on, and you could have helped, but you didn't know, or they didn't feel comfortable enough. So what can we do as a community to make people feel a little bit safer for that to not be the reaction? Because it's anybody. People act like, oh, that's white people stuff. No, this is real. There's black men, Caribbean people, Caribbean men, like there's people taking their lives. It's not just violence. Like some people are literally just taking their lives because they feel like that's it.
That's the only outcome. That's the only way out.
The statistics, there's more men who commit suicide than anyone else.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
There's more men than anyone else. There's so many men who die with pride. Not like they want to, but when you feel like that's the only option, because as a man, I'm not supposed to feel. As a man, I'm not supposed to cry. As a man, you feel weak because that's what you're taught. And I want to change that narrative, because there's children losing their fathers. There are children, kids, there are kids losing their lives because they feel like, oh, my parents might be dealing with too much, so I can't talk to them, or, oh, my siblings are busy, or my friends, they're too, I tell people all the time, like, if I can laugh with you, you shouldn't be able to cry alone. You shouldn't be able to laugh with me but cry alone. If I can laugh with you, I can cry with you. Like, you never know what I'll go through with you, but you got to tell me. But you have to create that safe space for somebody to feel comfortable enough to come to you and say, this is what's going on. Because you never know what somebody would go through with you. But we just have to get through that point where we feel comfortable enough to say, like, I need help. And that's hard. Like, I can say that. Like, someone was like, is it harder for you to say sorry, or is it harder for you to ask for help? And for me, it's always been harder to ask for help. And that's for a lot of people. It's hard for me to ask for help. It's very, 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 very hard. But that's like, there's deep-rooted things that you have to work through to understand, like, why is that such an issue for you? Why, when someone say, oh, if you need something, let me know, why you can't let them know? Like, it's so much that when I say the resources, it's like, you need help. Like, we can't just, obviously you can't unlearn and all of this by yourself, because it's hard, but it's a start. You got to figure out a way to start. And that's what I want to work to find the resources first, the right resources, so that way I can go and, provide them for other people. So right now I'm in a process of finding resources and like creating a directory. And that's for anything. Some girls get stressed out because they can't find someone to do their hair at the right moment and it's last minute. It gets serious. Like, I want people to understand, like, okay, yes, this is serious, but people try to make it seem like, people always like, it's not that deep. You never know what could cause somebody to literally have a breaking point. You never know. Like, I know people who have literally had episodes because they couldn't get their nails done at the right time and it's a big event. Or a dude, he needs a cut and he got a date and now everything's falling apart. Like, little things. I want a directory for everything. I want you to have all the resources. It's mothers breaking down because their oven ain't working. Like, you never know what the breaking point could be. Your car done broke down. Like, you never know what it could be. Your daughter might need some clothes. Your son might need some shoes, or he might wanna go into sports, and you can't afford it. Right. You can't afford it. Or your daughter might want to do gymnastics, and she can't afford it. And now you feel like your children are slipping through the cracks because they can do only what you're able, and that's not always the safest or healthiest for people. Right. So I want to just really take the time to find the people who are willing to help me help other people. That's what I'm on a journey of right now. Have you been
successful to this point?
I want to say yes. Like I said, we're our biggest critics. So like for me, I feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough. But I feel like in 2 years, really in one, because I kind of did a shift, I would say yes. Okay. Yana started with as a clothing brand originally. So it really was a switch. Like, it went from Yana clothing to an organization, because I acknowledged what my calling really was in the midst of it. Like, I always knew it was going to be to help people, but I just never realized that I was going to be able to do a full switch through my organization.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
What can we do as a community to help you?
I think right now, as a community, if you guys have resources, please send them my way. Whether it's therapists, barbers, people who are looking, organizations or businesses that are looking for employees, childcare, trustworthy childcare, things like that, so that I can add on to my directory, and as well as just donations. I will say that we definitely do need donations. I'm working on getting a 501c3, becoming a full nonprofit and getting a 501c3. So that way, even like I said, I want to help all people. So if you need community service, you can come help Yana. We can help. I know I can help people more financially when I have the funds to do so.
Gotcha.
So I know donations for events. I want to do more mutual aid events throughout the year. We have a back to school event coming up soon. I am planning a men's health panel event. So any men who are willing to come and speak for this event, please contact me, because I know that is hard when it comes to men. Men, if you're even able to just support and just spread the word, because I feel like it's very, very needed in this climate. So I would say that. Definitely that. Donations, spread the word, and resources. That's the main thing I need right now, more than anything.
Okay. How can folks get in contact with you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Reflection of Yana, or our organization page, which is the Yana Community. That's the YANA Community on Instagram. Or if you go to my personal page, you will see my organization in my bio. So either way, you can find us.
And that's Kayla. Is your personal page Kayla Carter? Or?
It's The Reflection of Yana.
Oh, The Reflection of Yana.
Yes.
Okay.
Of The Reflection of YANA.
Okay.
All one word.
And YANA stands for?
You Are Not Alone.
You Are Not Alone. I love that.
I got it on my leg. It's tattooed on my leg.
Really? One of the 16 tattoos?
One of my 16 tattoos. Yes, it's written on my leg.
Man. So is it difficult for you to make friends, or you do make friends easily, especially when people find out what you're into?
So, okay. I would say, is it difficult for me to meet people and make connections? No.
Okay.
Making friends, I would say a little bit yes. Only because I feel like sometimes, like I said, I definitely still struggle. And you have to, I feel like when it comes to meeting new people, you don't want to just kind of throw everything on a person and then they're like,
yeah,
they're like, whoa, now they're scared.
Shy away,
you scare them away.
Right.
I would say that I'm blessed to have a group of friends that I can go to and I can, that I have to the point where I've had them for so long that I kind of don't even want new friends a lot of times. I'll try and it'll be like, I don't know how to do this.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't even know. So I try to make new friends, definitely. I think I do a lot better with just acquaintances, though, because I can say when it comes to communication, I'm not always the greatest, just because it's always so much going on. But I definitely meet a lot of people. On the outside, people think I have so many friends just because of when they see pictures from events and things like that. They're like, "Oh my God, you have so many friends," and I'd be like, "No, I don't. I don't know. Gotcha. I don't know how to do that." Right. So. Right. I would say connections. It's easy for me to make connections. I definitely have I talk a lot, so I guess it's easy for me to make connections. And then sometimes it can get a little awkward when I do tell people okay, what I do, because now they start asking a bunch of questions and I'm like, I don't wanna, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I don't really.
So is this what you want to do? Is this going to be your day job, or do you have something else that you?
I want Yana to be my wake up. I want to do Yana for the rest of my life. I want that to be that's why I think another reason I want to focus. So I'm working so hard to make it a nonprofit at the 501c3 so I can do the funding. So that way all I will have to do is obviously I'll have to find some type of passive income to,
right, of course,
make sure my bills are paid. But this is what I want to do.
Gotcha.
This is
helping people.
Yes. I do want to, I have a podcast that I want to get back started so that I can kind of
that's important.
Link it a little bit.
It's important.
But other than that, that's really, this is it. This is, I'm going back to college for social work. A lot of people don't know that I'm going back to school. Going back to school, guys. Okay. For social work, to be able to help with it a little bit more, because that's what social workers do. They help create the safe space and provide the resources. Right. So I'm learning a little bit more on how to better navigate through Yana. So hopefully when I go and start school, it'll help me a lot more.
Well, let me just say, man, I'm a 50-something-year-old man, and I'm so inspired by your story and by your journey. When we talked a few weeks ago outside of 592, and I really didn't want to talk then, but
yes, Priceless was very adamant.
And just maybe a 1 minute into your story, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I want to hear this. I want to hear more about this. I want people to know about this.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you just bearing your soul, pretty much. Because I just keep saying that. 19 years old.
Yeah.
A lot of folks do not have that courage. So I commend you for having that courage.
Thank you.
What else do you want folks to know?
What else do I want people to know? I want you to know that if no one has told you today, I am proud of you and that you're doing a good job and that somebody is rooting for you. And also, we will have a back to school, a mutual aid event sometime end of July, early August. That is my plan. So stay tuned for that as well. If anybody needs anything when it comes to their children in school, or if they would like to donate, keep your eyes open for that as well.
Okay. Miss, let me get the name right again because it's the Yana Community
Yana
Foundation.
Kayla Carter.
And it's Kayla Carter.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This has been another edition of Take 5. Thank you, Miss Kayla.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Oh, that was exciting.
We'll catch you next time on Take 5.